the Blue Jackets won a game last night and scored like actual goals against an actual goalie. I didn't know that they were allowed to do that, but we'll talk about it on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everything for making it your first listen of the day. The Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. Now, let's talk about the game last night, which was fun and good, and the Blue Jackets scored like 5 whole goals against an actual goalie, which I didn't know that they were allowed to do anymore. They scored a power play goal as well. You love to see it. Anyway, I want to talk about that, and then I want to spend the last kind of little bit of the episode talking about Sean Monahan being nominated for the Masterton, which is kind of what I expected, and I was actually thinking about this last night, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But let's talk about the game first, because I don't know about anyone else. I went into this game with my expectations like basically underground, right? I was like, okay, they've been shut out twice in the last 2 games. Once against the team that they're facing tonight or last night, and then they went ahead and won the game, which was A, unexpected, B, a lot of fun, but C, like, they played an actual good, solid game. Like, I don't think this was a case of them being bailed out by the goalie or, the Sens having an underperforming goaltending performance. Like, that's not to say that Forsberg is a bad goalie. He's been very good for them last night, but I think he'd probably say, yeah, I need to be better. 5 goals on 35 shots, not good enough, right? Meanwhile, Elvis, 2 goals on 35 shots. And I tweeted about this last night. Like, I feel like this happens every single time. Like, Elvis has a rough patch, and then what happens is everyone on the internet calls for his head and wants to, like, parade him through the streets and, like, shame him publicly, etc. And, you see, trade him, buy him out, send him back to Latvia, etc., etc. And he always responds, I feel like, with a genuinely excellent game, because he was genuinely very good last night. A 943 save percentage, like I said, 33 saves on 35 shots, allowed 1 even strength goal and 1 power play goal. Like, he probably wants. Actually, I don't even know if he. Well, okay, he wants them both back because a goalie wants all of the goals back, right? And this is something I say a lot: is, oh yeah, he's going to want that one back. Like, they want them all back. It's very, very, very rare that a goalie is going to be like, you know what? Nah, I should have let that one in, right? But first goal, power play goal, terrible formation on the kill by the Blue Jackets. I don't know what they were doing there. And Fabian Zetterlund is just kind of right place, right time. Good for him. I can't believe I was betrayed by one of my favorite Sharks that is now on the Senators for reasons of we don't need to get into that right now because it's not a Sharks podcast or a Senators podcast. But good for him. First goal as a Senator. Frustrating because it felt avoidable, but it is what it is. Second goal was the Thomas Chabot goal, I believe. Was that who scored it? Yeah. Elvis makes the first save, and then it pulls him out of position, and then it's just, that second chance. Thomas Chabot skates basically onto the puck, puts it in. Easy goal. It's not like, how many goals have we seen this season of Elvis just, like, waving his glove at it as it goes past from, like, an unscreened shot, right? They were both legitimate goals that, yeah, a little bit of luck, but also, like, it's hard to be mad at those kind of goals. From a goalie, anyway. Like, ostensibly, the defense should have been there both times. They weren't. I'm not going to put that on Elvis. I thought Elvis was great last night. Because, of course, he was. Because we spent the entire time after Saturday's game against the... Was it Saturday's game? Saturday's game against the Leafs. And the game against the Avalanche, I think, is probably the more notable one. Like those two games, he wasn't very good. So they spent like 3 days calling about on the internet, and then he responds, I thought he was very good against the Senators on Sunday. Obviously, those two very early goals. Tarasov got the pull with like less than 5 minutes into the first period. Elvis comes in and is very good in relief. I think he made 27 of 28 saves or something like that. Blue Jackets allowed an empty net goal at the very end there. So of the 4 goals, only one of them came on Elvis. So thumbs up for Elvis. Can he keep that going? Big baby. We've seen this before, right? I feel like, and again, every time Elvis gets like basically the entire fan base finally turns on him, he responds like this. And then my guess is he'll probably be very good on Thursday against the Sabres. And then he will probably not be very good against whichever of the Capitals games he plays at the weekend. Because I believe that's the next handful of games for the Blue Jackets, is that they've got Buffalo on Thursday and then home and home with the Capitals Saturday and Sunday. So my guess is he's going to be very good against Buffalo and probably not quite as good against the Capitals. Just based on past experiences, and also just kind of like Elvis has 3 good games in a row, and then that's about as many games as in a row as Elvis is generally good for. Again, I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again, but that's kind of how I feel about it. So I guess the good news is that we'll see a good Elvis game on Thursday against the Sabres. Playoff spot is looking, it's even though they won last night, it doesn't look like it's getting any easier because Montreal refuses to lose a goddamn game. They've won like 6 in a row now, which is really annoying. But they're not mathematically eliminated yet. I believe if they lose on Thursday, they'll be eliminated. And I believe if Montreal wins one more game in regulation, they get eliminated. So we need Montreal to basically lose the rest of their games this season, which, we can only hope, right? Anyway, other things I liked about the game. I thought this is maybe on me a little bit, is I spent a little bit of time on Twitter yesterday being like, man, these new line combinations, like swapping out one defenseman and one bottom 6 forward, that will really fix the scoring issues. And then they actually put together a pretty good lineup. I really like that Voronkov, Olivier Sillinger line. I think that's a line that is giving other teams a bit of trouble, probably because Sillinger and Voronkov are, I would say, higher caliber than the average third line in the NHL. And teams don't really seem to know what to do with Mathieu Olivier this season, which, again, he's got 18 goals on the season now. He's got 5 more games to hit 20. And I say he does it, honestly. I think it's going to be really, really funny. But I like that line a lot. That was, I believe, the best line that for the Blue Jackets last night. Where is it? Okay, here we go. No, I tell a lie. The best line last night was the Fantilli Johnson Van Riemsdyk line. I was misreading the chart. I do apologize. They were on the ice for 20 shot attempts, 4 and 7 against was the Fantilli line, which I've known all season that Fantilli and Johnson play well together. I think Van Riemsdyk likes playing with the 2 young guys. I think he likes playing with Johnson a lot as well. Adam Fantilli getting a goal last night was great. I feel like it's been a minute, but he's up to 25 goals on the season now. And again, another quietly very good night for Kent Johnson. 2 assists on the night. He's up to 30, which I believe is 52 points on the season, which his career high keeps on climbing, right? So you love to see it. But I like that Olivier line a lot. I thought, again, they don't really know what to do. Other teams, anyway, don't really know what to do with Mathieu Olivier when he has, like, help on his line. And I don't know whether it's the new contract bump or what, but if he can keep this rolling into next season, like, if we can get 15 goals out of Mathieu Olivier next season, that's a win, right? But we'll see. We're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to talk about, there's one more thing that I liked, and that was the special teams were pretty good. So we'll talk about that in a second, and then I'll talk about some things that I didn't love quite as much, and we'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I've got to tell you about wonderful pistachios. You're looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. They are one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, which gives you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they are packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. I love that they come in a no shells variety. I am a gremlin. I like sweet pistachios approximately 14 at a time. But sometimes I get it. You want to fidget. You want to crack open every shell. Sometimes you want something to do with your hands while you are on like endless Zoom meetings. I don't know, but they do an in-shell option, which are just as good as well. But for me, it's no shells every day. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. We're talking about the good things from this game. And honestly, I liked the special teams, which I haven't done for a minute here. Sean Monahan apparently only scores on the power play now, which is very funny. I believe all of his goals since he has returned from injury have been power play goals. I don't know that he has scored a 5-on-5 goal. I might be wrong about that. But oh no, he scored a normal goal against Colorado, but that might be of the 4 goals that he scored since his return. When did he return? He returned on March 24th. Yeah, he scored 4 goals in this time. 3 of them have been on the power play. Extremely funny. But you love to see it, right? And I do think that he has been the missing piece for the power play all season long. It just kind of it speaks for itself, right? I think Boone being on the power play has helped, like putting him net front. Dude knows what to do there, right? I was gonna say it's an easy job. I don't know that I could do it, but he excels at it, right? It's not like it's a lot of skating around and possession work and fancy passing and stuff. He's just kind of a pain in the butt, and it seems to work for him, right? That power play goal was not a typical power play goal. I feel like that was the one with Ken Johnson made an incredible pass, and no one on the Sens was ready for where Sean Monahan was on the ice. Takes full advantage of it, rips it past Forsberg. Great goal. A power play goal. In this economy, I know, like, it's I didn't know that was allowed either. But I guess if they're scoring regular goals, they're also allowed to score power play goals. Who knew? Penalty kill, I thought, was pretty good. Again, we talked about that one goal that they allowed, the Zetterlund goal, where, not the best choice in terms of man marking that I've ever seen, but the Blue Jackets killed off the other 3 Senators penalties with, I feel like, very little fanfare. It just felt not like brutally efficient, but it felt pretty good. The Blue Jackets on the power play, like, again, there was a lot of good goaltending involved there. The Senators had 12 shots on goal in those 4 penalties. So, like, again, lots of good in there, but mostly from Elvis. In their own 2 power plays, they managed to do 4 shots on goal. So, mostly balances out, I think. Again, it got a little exciting. Blue Jackets decided to maybe try and score a short-handed goal on the power play, which we haven't seen in a minute. That was also fun. But for the most part, special teams, I liked it. If only the special teams had been like that for the last 6 weeks, right? Potentially they'd been a much better position. Also, they out-face-offed them, which is fun because the Senators are one of the best face-off teams in the league. And the Blue Jackets said, actually, we're going to win all of them. Not all of them, but over 60 or almost 60% of them. Thanks to, a good night in the face-off dot from Justin Danforth, a good night from Sean Corrali, Sean Monahan doing a lot of heavy lifting there. He won 70% of his face-offs. Boone Jenner helped out a little bit mostly Sean Monahan doing the heavy lifting there, which is fun. In terms of things I didn't like so much, and this is maybe going to be this is not Boone Jenner's fault, but they really need to do something with the top line to elevate it, because I don't know that Boone Jenner fits there, is the thing. The fourth line I thought has been basically a non-option. Not like a unplayably bad, but like they do what they do, right? Is that they try not to let the other team have any offense. And like they mostly do that. They don't generate a ton themselves, but they also don't allow a ton, right? The Monahan Marchenko Jenner line at 5-on-5 created basically nothing. And obviously the Sean Monahan goal at the power play was great, but they didn't generate basically any offense at 5-on-5, which feels like a problem. And honestly, like to me, it feels like Monahan and Marchenko have been money all season. Boone Jenner has to be the odd guy out there, which is a shame because I've liked a lot of Boone Jenner's play since he has returned from injury, right? Like he's been okay. Granted, I think what's happened is he has been playing mostly he's mostly been playing where he's supposed to be, right? Which is the middle six. But you throw him up on that top line, and I don't know that he has the foot speed. I don't know that he has the offensive dynamicism of Marchenko. He doesn't have, just the skill that Monahan does. I think he struggles on that top line, but there isn't really anyone else that they could put there, right? Because Chinikov is in Everson jail for whatever reason. I don't want to break up that Voronkov, Sillinger, Olivier line, because I think that's a really good line. Obviously, the Van Riemsdyk, Fantilli, Johnson line was great last night. So really, you're like, okay, well, who do they put there? Like Luke Cunnin? Just there isn't a fit there, and I think again, the Blue Jackets want to go out and get a top six winger in the summer. That'll be great. This is as good as it's going to be right now, I think. If you want to keep the two lines that are performing well together, you're going to have to take a step back on that top line, which is frustrating, but like I get it. And they're not horrible. They're not like allowing more than what I would say a reasonable top line is supposed to allow. They're just not creating anything, right? Which is you want your top line to be creating. If more than 0.11 of a goal, that's how much they created last night at 5-on-5 was 0.11 expected goals. Not good enough, right? So that to me, this feels very kind of nitpicky of, they only had a 50% success rate on the ice and, they didn't create any real kind of offense at even strength, et cetera, et cetera. But honestly, a win like that, I thought, like, for the most part, I thought that was a great win. Like, I thought it was good. The defense were all mostly very good. Werenski and Fabro, I thought, were great. Erica Branson, shockingly good. Matejchuk Provorov struggled a little bit. I think, again, Matejchuk, I think he's getting tired. I don't think he's 100% right now. It's tough. He's playing heavy minutes for his age and, where they're at in the season. I'm not surprised by that. Again, still creating a fair amount, but giving up more than the Blue Jackets would like him to, probably, which I'm not surprised by. So, again, getting nitpicky here, right? I thought Matejchuk was fine last night, just not great. Which kind of was the... If the worst that you can say about a team is that a player was fine and not great, like, that's a pretty good win, right? If only they could have done this win, like, 2 weeks ago, used it to build on, right? Because I feel like the Preds game, great, offensive outpouring. Kind of a disaster in a lot of other places. The Canucks game as well, like, they had no business being in that game or losing that game. Like, it was just a nightmare. If this had been the first Sens game of the season, so what, like 2 weeks ago, like, it does feel like this team's season would have turned around. And maybe that's me being, maybe that's wishful thinking because, again, the Blue Jackets are, I believe, if Montreal wins their next game in regulation, I believe that eliminates the Blue Jackets from playoff contention, which, again, will suck. But they're not out yet. Win on Thursday and see where they go from there. Like A win keeps them in it, and they need Montreal to start losing games, which I'm not like super confident they will. Like they're not going to win every game in the rest of the season, but I think the Blue Jackets need them to go like, I think they need them to either go 0-4 or 1-2-1. Like they can win one game and lose a game in overtime. They can win one in overtime and lose one in overtime. If they win one in regulation, I believe that eliminates the Blue Jackets. Like, again, I might be wrong about that. I'm not 100%. They're playing Ottawa on Friday. Then they've got the Leafs on Saturday, and then they've got Chicago and Carolina. So like there is a world where the Canadians lose three of those games. If Chicago can force overtime with them, that's like, and the Blue Jackets, okay, also the Blue Jackets have to win every single game from here out. That's the other thing, right? The Blue Jackets, I believe, are still 8 points behind them, but they have 5 games left. So if the Blue Jackets go 5-0 and the Habs go anything better than like 1-3 or 1-2-1, for example, like 1 win, 2 overtime losses, a regulation loss, like that'll get them in. All they got to do is if they win in regulation against Ottawa on Friday, then they're in, and the Blue Jackets are out. So unfortunately, we do have to cheer for the Ottawa Senators on Friday. Like I said, Blue Jackets aren't out of it yet. Path is tough, but the path is still there. Let's switch gears, and I want to talk about Sean Monahan being nominated for the Masterton Memorial Trophy. So we'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets.
Do you have trouble sleeping? If so, you're not alone. That used to be me, lacking rest, tossing and turning. I was late for meetings. I never felt like myself. That's until I found Bear Mattress. Bear Mattress and their sleep recovery technology helped me fall asleep faster, as well as enjoy deeper sleeps. I felt like myself again, and you can too. Bear Mattress knows that every sleeper is different. That's why they have their sleep quiz on their website that finds you your perfect match. As a side sleeper, I matched with the Elite Hybrid Mattress, and I've been telling everyone in my life they have to try Bear Mattress risk-free. You can sleep on your Bear Mattress up to 120 nights, and if you're not getting the best sleep of your life, you can get it refunded. They'll pick it up with absolutely no hassle. So go to bearmattress.com and use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout to get 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com. Use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's finish off today by just checking in with it's awards season. And I was thinking about this last night, not about the Masterton, but I was thinking about the Masterton as well. So we'll talk about that in a second. But has Dean Everson has the team played their way out of a Dean Everson Jack Adams win? Because I feel like if the Blue Jackets make the playoffs, then he's the slam dunk win, right? You could argue for Spencer Carberry, but for me, if the Blue Jackets had stayed strong the past month, it feels like Everson would have been a win. In a similar way, it feels like Werenski has kind of played his way out of the Norris win. He'll still be nominated. I think Cale Makar's going to win now, which we don't need to get into that. But the Masterton, I was thinking about this last night because I was like, it is about time for Masterton nominations to come out. Like, obviously the Blue Jackets are going to name Monahan. Who else were they going to name, right? I did wonder if they were going to name like Johnny Gaudreau posthumously. And honestly, like we've talked a lot about renaming the Lady Byng to the Johnny Gaudreau Memorial Trophy, but like, do you rename the Masterton to the Johnny Gaudreau Memorial Trophy? Like, probably not, but I did think about it last night. Anyway, Sean Monahan is the obvious nomination, right? Like, and you look down at the list of guys that are nominated as well. I don't have a full list in front of me, but here's like everyone that's been nominated so far. I'm like, okay, it's your usual guys, your guys that have been around for a million years and are still playing, and your guys that made late NHL debuts, right? Like guys that never should have made it and are still here. And I'm looking at the list. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Like Nick Blankenberg got nominated for the Predators, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and say that's a bad choice. Marc-Andre Fleury nominated for the Wild. Jonas Corpusalo nominated for the Bruins. Like again, what is the actual wording is best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. Usually it's someone who got like real injured and came back. So like my guess is that Landeskog is going to get the Colorado Avalanche nomination when that comes out. That's not on my list yet, so I don't know that that's been I don't know that's been put out there. But like it's usually someone who was real injured and came back. Or someone who, went through a horrible tragedy, or someone that is just really old. And those are kind of the three tenets for the Masterton nomination. And I'm looking at this list and I'm like, okay, old guy, like, and that's not to say that they're not deserving or that they're not like dedicated, but like obviously the Sharks named Marc-Edouard Vlasic, right? He's a million years old. Naturally, like the Rangers named Johnny Brodzinski, which I really like as well, because he's a guy that didn't become an NHL regular until he was 30 years old, but now he's allegedly, like from what I'm hearing, he's doing a really, really good job in the Rangers organization and being like an actual impact player, which is fun. You love to see it. I remember Johnny Brodzinski from when he was a King, so that's how long I've been paying attention to Johnny Brodzinski. Anyway, but I look at this list and I'm like, yeah, like I don't think anyone on this list deserves it more than Sean Monahan, right? Imagine if you finally transfer companies to work with your best friend and you're so excited and like your kids are the same age and you're going to be there like for the next 5 years minimum together, and you came to this company and to this city specifically to play with your best friend, and then he dies horribly, suddenly, senselessly, and instead of just like going as far away from all of that as you possibly can, you still go into work the next day or the next week, whatever. Like you haven't even met most of your coworkers at this point, probably. You have to go in and you have to like think about how your coworker should be there and he's not, and he's supposed to be like your best friend, right? Sean Monahan is the obvious choice to win the Masterton. I don't think anyone deserves it more. I think the way that he has composed himself this season, the way he has talked to media, the way he has put his team on, like put the team on his back, like he's been. We're going to talk about when the season's over. We're going to talk about like MVPs for this team, and like Sean Monahan is going to be in the conversation. Again, scored a huge goal last night. It would have been so easy, and no one would have questioned it if he'd had one of the worst seasons of his career, right? Because in the same way that no one would have questioned the Blue Jackets if they'd been a bottom 3 team in the NHL, right? Because this kind of thing happens, and what do you do with it? And the answer is that Monahan came to work every day and put his best self in there, and I think really just kind of decided to lead by example. And I think a huge part of the Blue Jackets' success and not letting this kind of overwhelm them is they've gone, well, if Sean Monahan can do it, can come to work and look at Johnny Gaudreau's jersey hanging up in the locker room every day and not just lie on the floor about it, then we can too, right? So for me, Monahan is A, the easy nomination, and B, the easy winner in my mind. Again, a lot of the nominations haven't come through yet on this list that I'm seeing. Like again, my guess is that Gabriel Landeskog will be the nomination for the Avalanche, which is again a really good example. If he makes it back and plays in the playoffs, like for me, that's a finalist as well. But yeah, a lot of this is like guys that against odds have kind of stuck in the NHL, right? Or guys that have been there for a million years. Drew Doughty's another one named to the Kings. Like he both has been there for a million years and missed a big chunk of the season because he broke his ankle, I think, or his leg in preseason. Again, similarly, Alex Ovechkin breaks his leg this season. Everyone's like, oh, maybe he won't hit the record this season, and then he turns around and scores 40 goals as a 39-year-old with a broken leg, right? Like there's good nominees on here. I'm not going to sit here and say that the only good nomination is Sean Monahan, but to me, he feels like the easy winner. And he missed a bunch of time due to injury, and he's still got 50 points in 49 games this season, which I believe is his best point per game ratio. Basically, he hasn't been a point a game player since he was with Calgary. First off, he hasn't been a point a game player since 2018-19 when he had 82 points in 78 games for Calgary. Like, that was the last time, and I think that was probably the last time he was fully healthy as well, before last season, when he split the season with the Canadiens and the Jets. But like, again, it's the obvious winner to me. It just is. Like, I looked at the list and I was like, is there anyone on here that I've like forgotten about that had like a really horrible situation that they kind of pulled themselves out of it? Like, I'm kind of surprised that Patrick Laine wasn't named for the Canadiens, because he's really kind of gone through it, and then obviously, had a rough season last year, came into this season with the Canadiens, immediately got injured, missed the first like 2 months of the season, 2.5 months of the season. Like, I could have seen them nominate him for it, but for me, it's Monahan. Monahan all the way down. You can't imagine anyone else winning but Sean Monahan. So that's how I feel about that. We'll be back tomorrow. We will talk about tomorrow night's game, which is going to be the Buffalo Sabres, I believe, if I'm remembering rightly. I know that I said that earlier in the episode and just kind of went with it. So we're just gonna go with it. If they're playing the Sabres tomorrow, great. If they're not, then we'll talk about a different team. But we'll talk about the Buffalo Sabres, how the Blue Jackets need to win this game to keep their season alive. And also, I think what we're going to do is we're going to play a quick game of Would You Rather, of kind of looking at two players. You can only sign one. So we'll pick two forwards, for example. I'll put a poll up on Twitter and up on the YouTube community tab of who would you rather the Blue Jackets went out and got this summer. And then we'll talk about both cases and we'll see who wants which player more from a fan perspective and whatnot. So we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow as well. I thought that would be fun. But thank you for listening to this episode, making it your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms, on YouTube, and you can find us on social media as well. Locked On Blue Jackets is at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter. I'm at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. And if you have comments, questions, criticisms, email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. Thank you once again for listening. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.